Calvin Klein, the globally recognized fashion brand known for its minimalist aesthetic and provocative advertising, made headlines with the launch of its first flagship store in Asia. While the Tokyo opening itself was significant, it was the involvement of Jungkook, BTS member and global Calvin Klein ambassador, that became the focal point of widespread media coverage and public conversation. From pre-launch teasers to his presence at the store, Jungkook's influence transformed the brand event into a cultural phenomenon. The location, Tokyo's Harajuku district, is a hotspot for youth culture, street style, and global fashion experimentation. Calvin Klein's decision to open a flagship there reflects not only a strategic market move, but also an intention to integrate deeply into the cultural zeitgeist. But it wasn't just the location that captured attention, it was who walked through the doors. Jungkook's affiliation with Calvin Klein began in March 2023, and since then, he has featured in high-profile campaigns that showcase his effortless charisma and fashion-forward image. His presence at the Tokyo opening wasn't confirmed in official press releases, but speculation began when PVH Japan, the local arm of Calvin Klein's parent company, shared cryptic social media posts. These included a store construction teaser video set to Jungkook's hit song 3D, which immediately triggered speculation among fans that he was connected to the event. As the launch approached, fans noted that Jungkook was seen at Incheon Airport wearing a black Calvin Klein cap with a purple Tokyo label. The detail matched the soon-to-be-unveiled flagship address, causing a flurry of theories and excitement across social media platforms. This subtle marketing maneuver not only teased his involvement, but also showcased Calvin Klein's mastery in building anticipation through star power without overt advertising. When Jungkook arrived in Tokyo, the atmosphere shifted. Videos of his appearance near the flagship location quickly circulated online. While Calvin Klein maintained an aura of mystery, fan-recorded footage and influencer commentary all but confirmed his role in the launch. Unlike traditional brand events where the celebrity appears only for photo ops, Jungkook's mere presence near the store prior to launch generated organic, global exposure. News outlets in Japan, South Korea, and beyond reported on his movements, emphasizing how much attention one individual can command in the fashion space. Jungkook's connection to the Tokyo launch also highlighted his evolution as a fashion icon. His Calvin Klein campaigns, often characterized by their clean design and bold styling, have consistently received praise from fashion critics and fans alike. At the Tokyo opening, his presence blurred the line between product ambassador and cultural representative, demonstrating how fashion brands today rely on personalities as much as product lines to drive influence and reach. What made Jungkook's participation more impactful was its understated nature. There was no red carpet entrance or official meet and greet, yet his role dominated headlines. This approach aligned perfectly with Calvin Klein's minimalist ethos and made the launch feel authentic rather than orchestrated. For fans, it wasn't about a photo opportunity. It was about being part of a moment that blended fashion, music, and global pop culture seamlessly. The media response to Jungkook's presence in Tokyo was immediate and expansive. Fashion publications from Vogue Japan to Harper's Bazaar Korea ran detailed coverage of his involvement, analyzing his outfit choices and the cultural implications of his visit. On digital platforms, hashtags related to Jungkook trended worldwide, with fans dissecting every clue from his attire to his travel itinerary. For Calvin Klein, this level of unpaid media coverage represents a gold standard in brand exposure. The synergy between Jungkook and Calvin Klein goes beyond advertising. He has become an integral part of the brand's global identity, especially among Gen Z and millennial consumers who view him as a symbol of modernity and self-expression. His quiet arrival in Tokyo carried more promotional weight than traditional celebrity campaigns with months of planning and millions in ad spend. In this context, the launch of the Tokyo store was not just a retail milestone, it was a cultural statement. By featuring Jungkook so prominently, whether officially or through coordinated suggestion, Calvin Klein tapped into the power of fandom, digital virality, and celebrity authenticity. It showed that influence in 2025 is not bought but cultivated through relationships, timing, and relevance. As the flagship in Harajuku opens its doors, Jungkook remains at the center of Calvin Klein's narrative. His involvement symbolized more than a marketing move. It reflected a shared vision between artist and brand. In a world increasingly driven by visual identity and cross-industry collaboration, the Tokyo launch stands as a blueprint for how fashion and pop culture can merge to produce meaningful, resonant experiences. In summary, while Calvin Klein's Tokyo store represents an important expansion into the Asian market, it was Jungkook's role that truly elevated the event. His understated but impactful presence brought a level of excitement, media attention, and fan engagement that no traditional campaign could replicate. As global fashion continues to evolve, the Tokyo launch will be remembered not just for its architecture or merchandise, but for the star who walked its streets and made the world take notice. Antisipasi seputar potensi keterlibatan Jungkook dalam peluncuran flagship Calvin Klein di Tokyo dimulai jauh sebelum toko tersebut resmi dibuka. Itu didorong oleh rangkaian isyarat pemasaran halus yang dikuratori dengan cermat dan karya detektif yang digerakkan oleh penggemar yang mengangkat acara tersebut menjadi salah satu acara mode paling menarik di tahun 2025. Tanda-tanda pertama muncul melalui akun media sosial resmi Calvin Klein Jepang, di mana gambar samar dari toko yang akan segera dibuka diposting tanpa teks. Foto-foto minimalis yang menampilkan arsitektur bersih dan pencahayaan yang mencolok cocok dengan identitas visual merek tersebut tetapi menyertakan musik latar dalam cerita Instagram khususnya 3D oleh Jungkook. Dimasukkannya lagu ini langsung mengangkat alis di antara penggemar BTS dan pengamat mode. Menambah intrik, Presiden Regional PVH Jepang membagikan video pendek di UTAS yang menampilkan bagian luar toko yang sedang dibangun. Klip tersebut menyertakan cuplikan singkat 3D berdurasi 3 detik dan teks yang hanya menyatakan, segera hadir. Meskipun tidak disebutkan secara langsung tentang Jungkook, penggunaan strategis dari karya solonya menyisakan sedikit ruang untuk kebetulan. Komunitas penggemar di platform seperti Twitter, TikTok, dan Weverse dengan cepat mulai menyatukan teka-teki tersebut. Pemasaran tidak langsung berbasis petunjuk semacam ini sangat cocok dengan cara kerja fandom modern. Daripada menunggu konfirmasi resmi, penggemar lebih suka menafsirkan tanda, mendekode visual, dan memprediksi strategi merek berdasarkan petunjuk konteks. Kampanye Calvin Klein bersandar pada perilaku ini, membangun daya tarik viral tanpa konferensi pers atau papan iklan promosi. Titik balik terjadi ketika Jungkook difoto di Bandara Internasional Incheon mengenakan topi Calvin Klein hitam bersulam tulisan Tokyo dan label ungu. Pilihan mode bandara yang tampaknya kasual ini menjadi viral dalam beberapa menit. Penggemar dan influencer segera menyadari bahwa desain logo dan warnanya cocok dengan palet merek dari postingan teaser toko Tokyo. Topi itu menjadi simbol konfirmasi. Secara online, spekulasi berubah menjadi kepastian. Tagar seperti Jungkook Calvin Klein dan Tokyo Launch menjadi tren di beberapa negara. Influencer dan orang dalam mode berspekulasi tentang potensi penampilannya, sementara akun penggemar melacak jalur penerbangannya dari Seoul ke Tokyo. Secara real-time, UTAS Twitter membedah sudut topinya, gaya pakaiannya, dan bahkan pilihan kopernya untuk petunjuk tentang acara peluncuran. Sementara itu, Calvin Klein tetap bungkam. Non-konfirmasi ini bertindak sebagai semacam psikologi terbalik, setiap jam hening meningkatkan volume percakapan. Penolakan perusahaan untuk mengklarifikasi menambah kesan eksklusivitas dan misteri, memungkinkan penggemar merasa seperti mereka adalah bagian dari rahasia bersama. Beberapa akun penggemar dan reporter lokal akhirnya memposting gambar Jungkook di dekat lokasi andalan Calvin Klein di Harajuku beberapa hari sebelum pembukaan resmi. Meskipun tidak ada interaksi media formal, gambar-gambar itu cukup jelas untuk menegaskan keterlibatannya. Salah satu video penggemar bahkan menunjukkan dia memasuki pintu samping gedung, mengenakan pakaian serba hitam yang mengingatkan pada pemotretan kampanye Calvin Klein sebelumnya. Pada saat toko resmi dibuka, percakapan global seputar peluncuran tersebut kurang tentang arsitektur atau penawaran produk dan lebih banyak lagi tentang perjalanan Jungkook dan apa arti kehadirannya. Momentum media sosial telah mengubah apa yang biasanya menjadi pengumuman retail perusahaan menjadi acara budaya dengan perhatian internasional. Kasus pemasaran penggoda ini menyoroti hubungan yang berkembang antara merek dan pengaruh selebriti. Integrasi halus Calvin Klein terhadap identitas Jungkook ke dalam pesan kampanyenya tidak hanya menarik bagi penggemar yang ada, tetapi juga mengundang audiens yang lebih luas ke dalam narasinya. Itu adalah demonstrasi bagaimana media sosial, jika dimanfaatkan dengan terampil, dapat melipat gandakan dampak pesan merek dengan investasi finansial minimal dan keterlibatan organik maksimum. Intinya, bab 2 dari narasi peluncuran Tokyo tidak dimainkan di panggung pers, bab ini dibuka di ponsel cerdas, dalam UTAS digital, dan melalui momen penemuan bersama. Strategi tersebut membuktikan bahwa di era pemasaran sosial pertama, terkadang pengumuman terbaik adalah yang tidak pernah dibuat secara formal. The media aftermath of the Tokyo launch was intense and unrelenting. Within 24 hours of Jungkook's appearance at the Calvin Klein event, his name trended across all major digital platforms in at least 15 countries. Top fashion publications, entertainment channels, and even general news agencies dedicated column space to dissecting the event and its implications. Harper's Bazaar called it a seamless collision of pop culture and high fashion. The New York Times featured an opinion piece titled, The Jungkook Effect, How K-pop is Reshaping Luxury Branding. Even the Business of Fashion released a detailed analysis examining the ROI of Jungkook's appearance in Tokyo, concluding that the earned media value from his presence alone exceeded millions in advertising spend. The saturation wasn't limited to traditional media. YouTube saw an explosion of content, reaction videos, style analyses, vlogs from fans who attended the launch, and commentary from fashion experts. TikTok videos featuring Jungkook at the store accumulated over 200 million views within the first week, creating a cascade of user-generated content that sustained Calvin Klein's visibility long after the event. Fashion industry insiders began drawing comparisons between Jungkook and other brand ambassadors in the luxury space. Some even argued that his pull rivals, or in certain contexts surpasses, that of long-standing fashion figures. This prompted other brands to reevaluate their celebrity partnerships and marketing strategies. In Tokyo, the impact was tangible. The Calvin Klein store reported significantly higher footfall and customer engagement. Nearby retailers noted a spillover effect, with visitors drawn to Omotesando not only for Calvin Klein, but to experience the energy surrounding the event. For the city, it was more than a store opening. It became a cultural moment, one that validated Tokyo's status as a fashion capital. Meanwhile, PVH Corporation continued capitalizing on the momentum. Limited edition merchandise from the Tokyo launch was quickly made available online, and new promotional content featuring Jungkook was rolled out in global markets. The company's quarterly reports projected strong gains, with executives attributing a notable share of that growth to the Jungkook partnership. What became clear through all of this was that Calvin Klein had not merely recruited a popular figure for a launch. They had activated a global marketing engine centered around a singular presence, Jungkook. His ability to seamlessly integrate into high fashion while maintaining his authentic appeal created a blueprint for future brand-celebrity collaborations. As the dust settled, analysts and creatives alike looked to Tokyo not just as a location, but as a symbol. A symbol of where fashion is headed, inclusive, global, and deeply intertwined with cultural forces beyond the runway. With the media still abuzz and the Tokyo flagship store flooded with fans and press coverage, discussions started shifting from a moment itself to its broader implications. Fashion editors, K-pop analysts, and cultural commentators began dissecting Jungkook's role beyond that of a mere celebrity endorser. What Calvin Klein had done in Tokyo was not just a launch event. It was a textbook example of influence marketing at its most potent form, anchored by one of the world's most influential pop icons. Jungkook's influence was not built overnight. His carefully crafted image, equal parts rebellion, elegance, and authenticity, was already closely aligned with Calvin Klein's rebranding efforts over the past few years. Since joining forces with Jungkook, Calvin Klein has enjoyed a noticeable uptick in visibility, particularly among Gen Z consumers in Asia, Europe, and the Americas. Tokyo was not the beginning of this momentum, but rather its pinnacle. Several fashion marketing experts commented on how Calvin Klein had managed to sidestep traditional celebrity campaigns by integrating Jungkook into the very narrative of the brand's identity. At the Tokyo store opening, this synergy was on full display. The building's exterior, lit in monochrome with a massive image of Jungkook overlooking the crowd, was a stark reminder. Calvin Klein wasn't just dressing Jungkook. Jungkook was Calvin Klein. His presence at the event wasn't marked by grand speeches or overly produced moments. Instead, it was a quiet confidence, his signature calm demeanor, his thoughtful poses for photographers, his effortless transition from star to ambassador. That spoke volumes. Inside the store, fans noted that several mannequins were styled in outfits directly inspired by Jungkook's previous Calvin Klein photo shoots. It was a subtle nod, but intentional, placing his essence in every thread. Brands across the globe took notice. Social media analysts reported an exponential spike in Calvin Klein mentions, engagement, and searches in the 24 hours following the event. More significantly, sales of the Jungkook-endorsed denim jacket, which he wore at the Tokyo opening, saw a sellout across major Asian e-commerce platforms within 2 hours, but Jungkook's influence wasn't merely tied to merchandise. Cultural studies experts pointed out how his global appeal allowed Calvin Klein to localize its messaging for Japanese audiences while still delivering global shockwaves. In other words, Calvin Klein didn't localize the brand, they localized Jungkook. His respectful nods to Japanese culture, his quiet acknowledgement of the crowd, and his understated presence matched the aesthetic sensitivity of Tokyo, amplifying the campaign's resonance. In interviews following the event, members of the Calvin Klein global team revealed that Jungkook had been involved in creative discussions far earlier than most assumed. According to one senior designer, Jungkook provided input not only on styling but also on store layout and launch day ambience. This level of involvement, often rare for brand ambassadors, suggested a shift in how brands were beginning to treat K-pop stars, not just as faces, but as creative collaborators. Jungkook's Tokyo appearance was also symbolic of a cultural crossover. While many Korean idols have participated in international fashion campaigns, few have commanded this level of recognition across markets. Jungkook managed to bridge East and West, pop and luxury, digital fan engagement, and real-world brand impact. His seamless integration into Tokyo's Fashion Week atmosphere even led some to call him the new face of global fashion diplomacy. In South Korea, fashion media highlighted the significance of Jungkook representing not only himself, but a new generation of Korean artists who were transcending language and borders. While idols have always had loyal fans, Jungkook's reception in Tokyo was indicative of something larger, a shifting center of influence where the cultural capital of K-pop was being leveraged not only in entertainment but in commerce, identity, and brand positioning. The timing of the event was also significant. As Tokyo was regaining momentum post-pandemic, its economy, especially in the luxury retail sector, was actively seeking revitalization. Calvin Klein's strategic use of Jungkook as the flagship symbol was a bold bet, and it paid off handsomely. Retail analysts noted increased foot traffic in the area, with competing fashion outlets also seeing residual benefits from the surge in visitors. There was also a digital layer to the success. TikTok challenges, Instagram Reels, and YouTube Shorts centered around Jungkook's Calvin Klein look generated millions of views within a few days. Influencers began mimicking his style. Fashion bloggers wrote think pieces about his minimalist yet edgy outfit choices. For many, this wasn't just about celebrity, it was about taste leadership. One particularly popular TikTok trend involved fans recreating Jungkook's strut into the Calvin Klein store, syncing his entry with trending K-pop remixes. The campaign had become more than a moment. It was now a participatory culture event. Perhaps the most telling sign of Jungkook's true influence came days after the event. When asked in a press conference if there were future collaborations or projects with Calvin Klein, Jungkook offered a small smile and replied, "We're just getting started." That brief comment was enough to send speculation into overdrive. From fan theories to insider marketing reports, the conversation shifted yet again. What was next? A full capsule collection? A global tour of Calvin Klein pop-ups with Jungkook at the center? Speculation alone was fueling further engagement, and Calvin Klein, wisely, chose to remain silent, allowing the momentum to grow organically. By the close of the week, major fashion news outlets were unanimous. Calvin Klein's Tokyo launch